Hey guys, James here from 5 Star Rating 22. Alright, here's the second part to our second weekly challenge on the graveyard. Oh, I did my color wrong on that first part. Oh well, that's okay. Hey, I tried out some new page shifting things too, so hope you guys like that. Of course, got the dew. Gotta have the dew. Mountain Dew, dew. You know what really gets me is it's like, I don't know, I'll talk about it later, I'm just ranting. But alright, so what I got there is just soap, and that's just soap I got from the hotel, and then a flat edge razor. And those are like the janitorial ones they use in their scrapers. You can get those at like hardware stores and stuff. It's just nice. And what I'm doing is I'm just gonna kinda like roughly cut out the shape of like a tomb, different shapes and stuff of tombs. And then what I have here is just a staple and then a toothpick with some rubber bands on it to give me a little grip, and I wanted something with a nice little point to shave stuff down. Oh, and the staple, or the not the staple, the paper clip, I took and shaved that to a nicer point on a file, on a metal file, just a nice flat file. So just to give it to a point. And then what I'm doing on the soap is just carving out like little squiggly lines and different things. I did some crosses and all kinds of different things. So just to cut out like little different shaped headstones, tombstones, wherever you call, or whatever you call them from where you're from. But yeah, so I did those. So, and you can get soap pretty cheap, pretty much anywhere. Oh, here, so I wanted to show you just some of the different shapes and different things. A bunch of block ones like that. Really quick, really easy. Probably took me about 2 minutes per stone that were just those little block ones. Pretty easy to carve out. And I did some more intricate ones and stuff too that, took a little longer. But and then here I got my matchbook, so I'm just tearing out a bunch of matches. And I'm going to take an X-Acto blade here and just cut off the tips on two of them, and then trim one of them down to like a cross. So alright, so and then you can see I just cut out the two sections of the matchstick to make a little cross. And then I left a little bit extra on the bottom because I want to stick it in the foam a little bit, so I made a little bit extra so it didn't look goofy, kind of like more of a plus sign than a cross, when I stuck it in. And then if you're like me and you've got a million old cell phone chargers, all I did was take it and strip it, and I'm looking for the copper wire, and they're a nice little copper wire. And something cool that was in there is that fiber optic fibers. There was some of that kind of stuff in there, really really thin. I don't know, probably could use that for something. I don't know, it's pretty cool. But I'm just looking for the copper wire, so it's really thin. So what I do is I just take a couple of the copper wires, twist them together a little bit to make it look maybe like braided rope, kind of braided rope or whatnot. I'm not really sure if it's, how well it's gonna look yet, but I wanted to do the crosses a little bit different, make them look more old and kind of, cheaply put together. So you can see there, I just kind of wrapped it around to hold them together, and that's it on those. So I just made a bunch of those ups. And then on these pillars for the fencing, I wanted to make them give them a little bit more something quick that would, make them look a little nice. So I just took my round file from Games Workshop and just carved a rim just around the top side, what's going to be the top side of the columns here to go around with the fencing. So I just took that, and then I took my really fine sandpaper and just kind of rounded off the top and bottom corners on this column. So just to, I don't know, pretty it up a bit, I suppose. Make it not so bland. I could have, I would have liked to put more stuff in there, maybe even carve a little bit of crosses and kind of stuff like that, but it looks alright. And sometimes you get chips out in the foam and stuff like that. I didn't worry about that because it'll just look like parts of the columns have broken off over the years, or whatever. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking some of that scrap 1-inch foam I had around, and I'm cutting it 2 inches high. So 2 inches high, and I just use my wire cutter, trying to keep it nice and straight with this because these are going to be columns as well, so I want them to have a nice flat top and bottom, and then I just kind of eyeballed it and try to make them, kind of an inch square. I took them and put them next to each other so that at least, since I was just eyeballing it, if they weren't exactly an inch, they'd still be, close to the same as far as with each other. So then I just took my razor blade, chopped the corners off on these, just to kind of give them that octagon shape to start with, and then I sandpapered them down, like before, and then again I added the lines with the round file, but this time I added 2 to them since they were about twice the height. I added two sets of lines, and I did them, make sure to try to keep your depth the same too when you're doing them. I did them a little bit deeper on the taller columns. I made the inset lines a little bit deeper, and then rounded off the top and bottom again, and there you go. Kind of looks like a battery, huh? Yeah, it does kind of look like a battery. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, and it was about 2 inches high. So, alright, now I'm going to take just regular Elmer's glue and my hills, and I'm going to go ahead and actually set them down. I was going to save it to the end so I could, like, have it nice and small for adding stuff to it, but I want to get these set down into place so when I get to my clear coat type stuff that I'm going to show you, they'll be ready to go. I guess, well, it's not technically clear coat, but I'll show you guys later on. You'll see my mixture that I use or I used to use. I actually haven't used it in forever, but I used to use, I guess. It's just like if you're broke and, can't afford cool clear coat, nice stuff, it's kind of my own, like, mixture thing. I'm sure someone else uses it, probably, or something like it. But I'll show you guys how to do that in another vid when we come to it. So when pressing down these hills, just use cheap glue. It probably would have been better to use, like, some, silicone caulking or something like that, but again, just trying to do things quick, so just make sure to get them pressed down, have a good seal on them. This white glue ain't bad, and when I do my clear coat type stuff, everything will be held together pretty well. And, if you're careful with it, as long as you're not throwing it around or, being really rough on it and stuff like that, it'll be alright. Most people, if I have people come over and play and stuff like that, they're pretty, good with my scenery. They're not throwing it or chucking their models on it or scraping them, so I don't really worry about it too much. So you can see there, oh, and I want to show you guys, so here we go. Another thing is you can see my hills, I ended up changing the shape on them a little bit. That's why I always like to lay everything out first, because originally I wanted to do the hills all over, but I switched it. I wanted to just do the fencing all the way around, not have to worry about going up and down hills. So you can see there I just took the columns and I'm going to glue those down just the same. Just a little bit of white glue on the bottom and stick them in place. Lay them out first before you glue them down, so you can get your distance apart kind of equal, so I laid them all out, and then once I had them where I wanted them, I just took white glue and stuck them on. Oh, and there goes the phone, so alright, I'll tell you guys, I'll be back in a second. Alright guys, sorry about that. Alright, so what I'm taking here is just that floral wire, the same stuff that I used to make the floating rocks before. It's pretty cheap. You get a big pack of it for like $2-3, and I've had that for years. I think I bought that when I was like 14 or something, and I've had it forever. It just, you use it for some things here and there. But so what I'm doing is I'm figuring out the height I want my fencing to be, because this is going to be the rail, not the railing, but the spokes in the fence. So I wanted to figure it out, and then you can see there when I cut it, I'm cutting it at an angle, so it's kind of got like a nice point to it. So when I put it in the phone, when I put it in the foam, kind of grasp nice. That's originally why I did that, but then the way I kind of did it later didn't really need to be pokey. But anyway, so then what I did there is I took my ruler, taped it down, and it has like a nice groove kind of in the middle of it, so it's really easy for this stuff. You just kind of set it on that groove, put it where you want it, and take your snips right to the end, and then just hold them there, twist them a little bit to get that angle, and then snip. And I snipped off, I think I cut up about 3 of those wires, 3 or 4. And then I ended up having to cut up another 2 later, so it was 3, 4, 5, like 5 or 6 wires it ended up taking to get the fence all done. So now I'll show you here what I did. So what I did is I took and kind of measured, I kind of measured out this first one, but then this sort of took a little bit of time, so I was trying to, kind of speed it up, so I didn't do this. But if you're going to do this, I'd measure them so they're nice and evenly separated. I did them a millimeter apart, and what I'm using is, that staple I had sharpened up that I used to carve in my soap. I'm using that just to poke down like a guide hole, so that when I put them in there, it's really easy for them just to kind of slide in. They're already all nice and straight and even, so that's why I did that. Poke the hole with the staple, sharpened staple first, as you can kind of see there. I know it's hard, but you can kind of see there. Try to keep them nice and straight, and then pretty much just took them in, set them down. Oh, and then later on what I ended up doing was I took tape and marked off a 1/4 inch on my staple. Since I cut those things I cut them to 3/4 of an inch because I wanted a 1/2 inch high rail, or the rails or the spokes. So what I did, I took tape, taped it off a 1/4 inch on my staple, so I just pushed it down to that spot, and then since all my spokes are about the same height, it was pretty easy just to, you know, slide them in. I had 1/2 inch sticking up, so that saved me some time later on. So if you do that, you might want to do that, you know, because pretty much you just stick the staple in, and once it hits the tape, you know, you're about 1/4 inch, so when you set those in, they'll be 1/2 inch up and pretty nice and equal. It doesn't take much fiddling with them to get them back nice and level. Alright, and then this is just those stir straws, those plastic coffee stir sticks. The ones that have like it looks like two put together, looks like 2 straws put together. They're nice and small, and I decided to make that the top rail. It has a nice, like, you know, because then I can have the wire in between the 2 things. And it looks like a top of a handrail, really, or a fence. And I wanted this fence to be kind of like, old school, shorter, more for decoration than really for keeping things out or in. So I wanted it shorter. And then what I'm using there is Elmer's rubber cement is what I'm using. It's nice, it's tacky, it's really good for stuff like this, pretty much just kind of set it down on top and it sticks, and then that stuff's the wrinkle-free stuff, so I don't have to worry about it. It's nice, it smooths down, it flows down the rails and stuff, so if I get too much on there, it's not a big deal. And, so that works for now. There you go. So I went and did that all the way around. And that's it for now, guys. Thanks again for watching. Hope you guys are enjoying. I'm having fun. Go check out TerrainNoob's channel and see how he's doing. Thanks again for watching, and have a good one. Keep gaming. Later.